Today, Sunday sermon, I want to talk about, always kind of fixated on media, because media is the number one problem, ripping apart, I guess it's the driving force behind all other American anarchy. So we're going to nip it in the bud right here. I want to talk about the classic movie Back to the Future. I already did this in a Facebook group, Christian Filmmakers, which you should join because it's a heck of a group. And I want to talk about incest specifically in Back to the Future. Disney rejected the film because of the scene where Marty McFly kisses his mother. Just saying it just makes you want to kind of vomit. So what's the deal with it? Why was it in there? And here, I'm just going to decode it super quick for you. Because this, all sexual sin is related. All sexual sin is kind of tied together. And it's like you can't have promiscuity without traces of the H word. I'm not allowed to say on YouTube because they're threatening to shut down my account. And by the way, as long as YouTube, Google is censoring this, everything else really doesn't matter. But we try to make the most of it anyway, and keep on sharing wisdom. In hopes, well, they're probably not going to change, but that's another video. Anyway, so that's a slap in the face for Google, YouTube, which they deserve. They deserve far worse. But anyway, incest in Back to the Future is what we're going to talk about here. So it's this. It's the Oedipal complex. Jordan Peterson. This is how I figured it out. Jordan Peterson was talking about that circumstance where you have a boy and his mother conspiring against the father. So essentially, as John Eldridge develops in Wild at Heart, how do you become? I can't even say the word because Google is going to call it hate speech. Because obviously I just hate people, and not trying to help anybody or give it any serious thought or love my fellow man here. Of course, it's hate speech according to Google. So anyway. But the reason a lot of people today, you have this bumper crop of sexual sin that I'm not allowed to say the name of because Google's censoring me. Boy fails to identify with his father. And Jordan Peterson, and he actually talks about the story of Jacob in the Bible as the mother conspiring with the son against the father. And there's always a sexual element in that because even the psychologists will say that when an infant goes through a period of infatuation with mother. It's odd subject matter for a YouTube video, but again, we're trying to get at the truth behind Back to the Future and what makes this moment so clear. So anyway, why does this have to be in the film? Like, why couldn't they just kind of leave that part out? Well, because you notice that what happens is Back to the Future, it's a really cool movie. And it's a movie that is very pro-traditional marriage on a very deep psychological level. You only have to, overtly, you only have to watch the deleted scene of Marty McFly worrying about whether he's going to become a as a result of feeling up his mother. Sorry. It's we live in a weird world. When this is a punchline, you're living in the middle of a sick culture. But we laugh because the other alternative is to just be morbid and down and depressed about it. And that's no way to survive a monstrosity such as which our culture is facing today. Google is muzzling me. If I say the word, it's oh, you're a hater. I can't say that. Anyway, It's a weird world we live. It's a sick, sick world we live in. But we're going to get to the bottom of it, you and I. Okay, and everybody else. So Jordan, so how do you solve this problem? Well, so Marty McFly goes back and essentially educates his father per the advice of which by the way he got this advice from Doc. So Marty McFly is enlightened by Doc Brown, the outside observer, the passive genius the genius who is constantly working toward figuring out at a very cerebral level what's going wrong with culture, which is why Doc Brown is also very, very aware of the dangers of technology and the need to use them responsibly, which is another reason it's wonderful, a theme that this movie shares in common with Spielberg's other movie Jurassic Park. So he's got an eye for good stuff, and Steven Spielberg also has an eye for this Oedipal complex, which we also see in Jurassic Park. Family gets divorced. And the kid is calling people penis breath and all this weird stuff he's at, and then he retreats into this weird alien fantasy, a romantic alien fantasy, by many counts. The score by Williams, very romantic, and you remember the scene where they free the frogs and he kisses the girl. It's what does it all mean? And this is what it all means. I'm telling you what it all means. This is golden. You should be taking notes. You should be taking notes. No college professor is going to tell you this, but America's man's man will. So anyway, Jordan Peterson helped me to get to this conclusion. A lot of C.S. Lewis too, but that's kind of a given. And the Bible, of course, Holy Scripture. So how do you explain Back to the Future? Yeah, it's a movie about a time machine. It's not really about a time machine, because when we watch fantasy or history, we're really watching ourselves right now. And that's the purpose. That's why it's useful. That's why the Library of Congress archived Back to the Future. So what is Marty McFly doing is he's doing what you really... What would be very difficult to do in real life, because you can't, when someone gets to be the age of, say, Marty McFly's father, you can't correct your own father, because then you create a paradox whereby you're undercutting your father's authority in trying to get him to man up, which is precisely the thing that the mother of the Oedipal complex, who has conspired with her son against the father to do, which is undermine the father's authority. So he couldn't have told his dad in the present time, hey, you're acting like a total wuss, man up, and you can do anything you set your mind to. He has to go back into the past, because if he were trying to tell his father that today, being his son, then he'd be doing precisely the thing that the mother had been enticing him in the most unholy of ways. Because, okay, so you know how pastors will say that the 10 Commandments are, thou shalt not murder. And so, well, I've never murdered anyone. I'm a good person. But if you've ever hated someone in your heart, you've committed murder, according to God's higher standard. And that's kind of what this is. Okay, so maybe you haven't copulated this again. I really apologize for the imagery, because this is really heavy, Doc. But it is. But this is again, we're getting our hands very dirty today, because we want to get to the bottom of this and say the things that need to be said, and that's why America's man's man is here. It's what I'm here to do. So this is heavy subject matter. But so where the heck was I? See, that was just such a disgusting thought. I was totally thrown off kilter here. Okay. So my contention is that this onset of the word I can't say, the sexual sin that everybody's so proud of, that we need more of, well, it's actually caused by this Oedipal complex which is in turn a result of women disrespecting men, which is in turn a result of media denigrating masculinity itself, and men are naturally leaders of women, and so if you take out the men, you really take out a society, and that's not good. It's not good. Anyway, to get back to the Future. So in any event, Marty kind of corrects this wrong, which would otherwise turn him into a very happy person. The level of censorship that I have to deal with in posting this video is, I hope you see how ridiculous YouTube is being by making me, censor my words, because this is ridiculous. It makes me angry that I have to do it, but that's what they want you to be angry, so you're not thinking and you just post asshole videos like the last one. I do apologize for the language. I hope you weren't offended by that. Anyway, Marty rights the wrong the only way he could know how, and that's by by going back to the past, not as his father's son, but as his friend, and because that would not be undercutting his authority. Allegedly, he still kind of sort of is in a weird way, but that gets corrected when, I guess, in this incestuous kiss scene, which is the reason Disney rejected the film. Marty kind of educates his mother as to, well, she really doesn't want this to happen either, if she really thinks about it, because it turns people in that